Good evening once again. This is Pastor Perkins. Thank you for joining us for this service. I believe that God has a word for us and God is going to change us and transform us. He is going to reveal some things that are forever going to change us. And I just want to read a few verses for you and then we'll go into the message for tonight. Once again, I'm reading from Ezekiel 18, verse number 2, Ruth 1, verse number 16 to 17. Ezekiel 18, verse number 2 says, "What mean ye that you use this proverb concerning the land of Israel, saying the fathers have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge?" Ruth 1, 16 to verse number 17 says, "But Ruth said, do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from following you. From where you go, I will go. And where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do the same to me as he has done to you, and more also, if anything but death separates me from you." Then we just want to give you a background as to where we are so that we are all on the same page. This is part number 4 of the mini-series that we have been in. First one, we spoke about the exemption clause where God is saying, all souls are mine. Ezekiel 18, verse number 4 to verse number 5, "Behold, all souls are mine. As the soul of the Father, so also as the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die, but if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right, he shall live." We spoke about the background from Moab. Moab, a son of Lot by his daughter. We spoke about the curse of the bastard child, which is a child born out of an illegitimate marriage according to the laws given to Israel by God. Then we spoke about the double curse that was on Moab. God says not only are they prohibited from coming to the house of God under the 10th generation, but God says forever. Why? Because they did not provide bread and water when Israel were coming into the promised land, but they hired Balaam to curse them. We spoke part number 2 of the series. We spoke about the process of opportunity, where we spoke about opportunity being a kairos moment, where things are going to happen, things that were not ordinarily possible beforehand, but are going to change in the moment of opportunity. And we mentioned things such as prepare for the opportunity, change your way of thinking, pay attention, recognize the opportunity, speak positive things about the opportunity. We spoke about timing, do things at the right time, and we spoke about the idea of being able to act. In the last message we spoke about the places of destiny, place where you're going to have an encounter with God, and God is going to change you. We also spoke about the 5 ways of how you are going to get into the place of destiny. We came from Psalm 37, verse number 23. It says, some places you are led into, the steps of a good man are ordered of the Lord. You are commanded into some of the places. Genesis 12, verse number 1, Abraham, leave your country, your family, and your father's house to a land that I will show you. We say sometimes they are drivers. You are driven into the place of destiny by adversity, sometimes by provocation, sometimes by desperation. Sometimes you are driven into the place of destiny by pain, and sometimes it is a need. You can look at that and see the story of Hannah, 1 Samuel chapter 1, what was happening in her life. And sometimes you just stumble upon the place of destiny, like Jacob running for his life, put his head in Luz for him to be able to sleep, but he didn't know that was the house of God. And sometimes it just comes to you in an ordinary place. God visits you, and that place becomes a place of destiny. But tonight I want to speak on this subject matter, over the threshold, now what? We spoke about the great things that are available in the places of destiny. There is a time and a season when you are going to cross over from a place where you are coming from, get to a threshold, and now you are entering into the place of destiny. Ruth was coming from Moab. They took their journey. Then she crossed over to enter into the land of Bethlehem, Judah. I want to read from Ruth 1, verse number 16 to 17. I'm using the English Standard Version. It says, but Ruth says, do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people. Your God shall be my God. Where you die, there I will die. But I also want to read Ruth chapter 2, verse number 11 to verse number 12. Ruth 2, verse number 11 to verse number 12. Says, but Boaz answered her, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay you for what you have done, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Ruth 2, verse number 17 to 18. So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought out and gave her what food she had left over after being satisfied. I want you to put this thought into your mind, that God always has a process of deliverance. God delivers you from one thing and He doesn't leave you hanging. He delivers you from one thing and delivers you into another. Delivers you from something that is limiting and prohibiting into something that is greater, into something that allows you to flourish. He delivers you from the kingdom of darkness into the kingdom of His Son. Takes you from a place of sickness into a place of wholeness. Takes you from a place of poverty into a place of prosperity. God will move you from a place of being powerless and bring you into a place where you are going to be powerful. He moves you from a place where there are foolish things and brings you into a place where you are going to have wisdom. God will bring you from a place where there is loss, death, and destruction, and bring you into a place where there is life and life more abundantly. God delivered Ruth from the curse of Moab to bring it into the blessing that was in Bethlehem, Judah, the blessing of Rachel and Leah, and that which was upon Tamar. We have to understand that God is a God of processes. Everything that He does is done in the series of activities and events that we call a process. One of the key elements of a process is time. It is time. Things can be done instantly. Things can be done over a period of time, a process of time. Who chooses how long the process is going to be? We defer to Ephesians 1, verse number 11, says, He worketh all things according to the counsel of His own will. When Ruth left everything she had ever known from Moab into Bethlehem, Judah, God was doing something in her life. She was born to a lineage that had a curse, the bastard child curse, banished from the congregation of the Lord forever. But she made a statement, Ruth 1:16, where she says, your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. She crossed over from Moab to go into Bethlehem, Judah. But entering into Bethlehem, Judah was not the breaking of the curse. It was just the beginning of the process. It was just crossing over the threshold. Now God's saying there are some things that have to be done. When you think about crossing the threshold, you have to consider the idea that God says now it is time for the children of Israel to cross over the river Jordan to enter into the promised land. It wasn't just entering the promised land because there are some things that had to be done. Here, hence my subject matter for this evening, over the threshold. Now what? When, when Ruth made that declaration, the key word in her declaration is the word I will. Your people will be, or your people shall be my people. Your God shall be my God. That word will or that word shall indicates a future event, indicates things that are going to happen later on. When you look at that, that means from that statement, she had to walk out the process. She had to walk out the process, and it was up to God's determination as to how long that process was going to be. I want to tell somebody here tonight, it is time to walk the process to your freedom from the curse into a place of destiny, into a place of blessing. Did Ruth walk through the process? I am inclined to believe that she did. When you look at Ruth 1, verse number 16, she's saying, your people shall be my people. When you look at Ruth 2, verse number 11, it says, how you left your father and your mother and your native land and came to a people that you did not know before. So your people shall be my people. Chapter number 2, verse number 11 says she walked the process where the strangers that were in the land where she was going became her people. Ruth 1, verse number 16 says, and your God, second part, and your God shall be my God. Ruth 2, verse number 12 says, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. So she walked the process. How did she walk the process? You and I have to understand from a place of flying a plane that there are 3 axes that the plane rotates around. There is an imaginary line coming from the nose of the plane to the tail, one coming from one end of the wing to the other. Then there is a third line coming from the bottom or from the top to the bottom. These 3 lines intersect at the place that we call the center of gravity. Our lives also they rotate around axes. 1 Corinthians 13, verse number 13 says, and now abide faith, hope, and love. Ruth had an understanding of this. Many have regarded her declaration in Ruth 1, 16 to 17 as perhaps one of the boldest declarations of love, hope, and faith. Whenever a plane is going to be flying or taking flight, there are 4 forces that are required for you to be able to fly. There is the thrust, which enables the plane to be able to move forward in a particular direction. There is drag, that acts as an opposite direction to the thrust, the motion. There is weight, and there is lift. I believe that there are other forces that are required in life for us to be able to take flight from a place called curse into a place called blessing, for us to move from a place of limitations into a place of abundance. As an aircraft needs 4 forces, I've mentioned 4 for flight. One needs to have forces available to be able to move from a place of curse into a place of blessing. And some of the things that are required here, Ruth 2, verse number 11 to 12 says, but Boaz answered and said, you have done all that you have done for your mother-in-law, all that you have done. This is what you have done. You have left your father, left your mother, and your native land. Then he says, you have come to dwell under the wings of God to find refuge. There are things that we are going to consider as forces that are necessary for us to take flight from a place of limitation into a place of abundance, from a place of living under curses into a place of living under blessings. These forces are, number 1, attitude. In the place of attitude, we need to things like learn, work, willingness to serve, humility, honor. We need faith. We need loyalty, obedience, sacrifice, and integrity. And for this presentation, I'm just only going to focus on one thing, which is attitude. Attitude is important. Whether you have a negative attitude or a positive attitude is going to affect your flight. It's going to affect how high you are going to go. It's going to affect how fast you are going to go. It's going to affect how long you are going to be able to fly. What is attitude? Attitude is a manner of thinking, feeling, or behaving that reflects the state of the mind or disposition. Your attitude can be a negative or a positive disposition. An attitude can also be a position or posture of the body, appropriate to or expressive of an action or emotion. A posture of the body, expressive of your action or emotion. An attitude can be a manner, disposition, a feeling, a position with regard to a person or a thing, tendency or orientation, especially of the mind. In aeronautics, attitude, the inclination of the three principal axes that we spoke about of an aircraft relative to the wind, to the ground. In ballet, attitude is a pose in which the dancer stands on one leg and the other is bent behind. An attitude can be a posture. It can be a pause. There are three things that are important that they call the structure of an attitude. There is the affective component. This involves your feelings and your emotions about the attitude of or the attitude object. There is the behavioral component, the way the attitude that we have influences how we act. And then there is the cognitive component, which involves the person's beliefs or knowledge about the attitude of an attitude object. I like what Roy T. Bennett says, attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. Whatever choice you make makes you. Choose wisely. So you have to choose to take the right attitude, to have the right posture, to have the right pause when you are in the place of destiny. Winston Churchill said, attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Attitude is a little thing that makes a difference. I want to say it again. Attitude is a little thing that makes a difference. You have to be in the right frame of mind. Your work ethic has to reflect an attitude. So when you are in the place of destiny, when you are in the place of significance, your attitude is imperative. Your attitude is imperative. It defines how you approach things. It defines how you engage. It defines how you act. It defines your work ethic. It defines what you believe. It defines how you believe. It also affects how you appropriate value. Your attitude is going to play a significant role in the establishment of your testimony, in the establishment of your character and your nature. We are told concerning Ruth that Boaz heard the testimony of what Ruth was doing. She did not take things lightly. She wasn't lazy. She wasn't complaining, but she was doing what was expected of her. She was taking care of her mother-in-law. I find it fascinating just in my own imagination that imagine that she knew about God from the stories that Naomi and her family probably told her. But she realized that why was God not able to protect Naomi's husband who died? Why was God not able to protect her husband who died? Yet she made this bold statement that even though God may appear as if he did not do what God is expected to do, she said, nevertheless, your God shall be my God. I hope you can just see the gravitas of that statement, that your God shall be my God. It takes a positive attitude to say it doesn't matter where I am. It doesn't matter what I have been through. It doesn't matter what we have experienced, because God is still God. When you get into the place of destiny, into that place, you have to have an attitude, a willingness to learn. You have to learn some things. That your people shall be my people. It's not about just me belonging to a family. It's about embracing the culture. It's about embracing the traditions. It's about embracing the religion in that place. It means I'm not going to do what I was doing in Moab, because now these people are my people. This God is now my God. I will not bring my idols. I will not bring my idol worship. It's an attitude and a posture that you took And that attitude wrote a testimony for her that I've heard the good things that have been said about you. Brothers and sisters, we have to have the right attitude when we come into the house of God. When we come into the place of destiny, we have to have the willingness to work. We have to have the work ethic. We have to have levels of integrity, because they are going to affect how long we are going to stay. They are going to affect how high we are going to go in the place of destiny. Brothers and sisters, do you want to move? Take a flight from a place of curse into a place of blessing, from a place of insufficiency to a place of sufficiency, from a place of lack into a place of abundance, from a place of not being well into a place of being made whole. You need to have the right attitude. Your right attitude says, when I come into the house of God and lift up my hands, I am not playing games. It doesn't matter who's playing on the keys. It doesn't matter who is singing, but I know that God is present. I know that the glory is here. I am determined to take the right attitude, the right posture. As a ballet dancer, I'm going to lift up my hands to God. As a worshiper, my heart is going to be lifted towards God. My praise is going to be genuine. My praise is going to be authentic. God is looking for those that will worship Him in spirit and in truth. I have to have the right attitude. I am not waiting for somebody to crank me up, because I know I am in a place of destiny and I need to go places. I need to go higher. I need to go dig deeper. So I need to have the right attitude when you come into the place of destiny. We know that Ruth was a hard worker. All the things that she was doing were ordinary things, but they were being done with the right frame of mind. Remember 3 things: your attitude, your behavior, your actions, and your beliefs. They have to be testifying that you have made a decision that I am going to have the right attitude. I am not waiting for somebody to pick up a paper on the floor. I have the right attitude to know that this is the house of God. And the Bible says, whatever you find to do, do it not as unto man, but do it as unto God. That's the attitude you need to have when you come into a place of destiny. Do it not as unto man, but do it as unto God. Whatever you find to do, do it well. Give it your all, because you never know the significance of the things that you are doing. Brothers and sisters, I believe that when Ruth was going to find food, bread, barley, and bring the water, she did not know that she is literally doing things to reverse the curse that was upon her life. To say there was a curse that says, you shall not come into the congregation of the Lord forever, because they did not bring water and bread. Yet Ruth is doing things with the right attitude. Her actions, her activities are literally reversing the curse that was upon her life in the name of Jesus. I'm just here tonight to encourage somebody. Whatever you do in the place of destiny, do not do it as unto men, but do it as unto God. Give it all that you have, and you are going to see things are going to begin changing. There is going to be a testimony about your life, about what God is about to do in you. God is positioning you. God is positioning you. You are about to take flight. Remember, attitude is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Optimism is a choice. Kindness is a choice. Giving is a choice. Respect is a choice. But whatever choice you make, whatever choice you make, it's going to make you. So choose wisely. I will not take the house of God for granted, because my life has been changed in the house of God. I will not take the things of God lightly, because in the presence of God, my life has been changed. The simple things you do, lifting up your hands, giving it your all, serving in the house of God, are literally forces that are going to propel you. I remember Dr. Hurd was speaking about momentum. I believe that you are going to experience acceleration. You are going to experience supernatural momentum. Why? Because you have chosen to have the right attitude in the place of significance. And once again, I go to what Winston Churchill said: attitude is a little thing, but it makes a big difference. difference. Attitude is a simple thing, but it makes a big difference. Attitude, once again, is a small thing. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. Be ye willing to learn, work not as unto man, but as unto God. Have a willingness to serve, walk in humility, and walk in honor. You're going to see what God is going to do. You are going to go higher than you never thought. You are going to go further than you've ever thought. Let me pray for you as we finish tonight. I pray for God to bless you in all the things that you do, for God to give you strength, for God to give you grace, for God to give you revelation that indeed you are going to have the right attitude to prosper in the place of destiny. I declare new heights in your life, new levels of understanding in your life, because you have taken a decision, a choice you have made to have the right attitude. Thank you for joining us this evening. God bless you. We love you. And we look forward to seeing you very soon. Remember, attitude is a small thing, but it does make a big difference. God bless you, and good night to you all.